There's absolutely no doubt about it. What's up, y'all? It is that time of night. if it's March, we're doing shows, yo. We are committed to that. And I am going to drink a little bit of brown water tonight as well. I've stayed hydrated. The Auburn Tigers with a very comprehensive win, I think, at Missouri. I thought this game was going to be closer anyway. I thought Auburn would be behind with 7 minutes to go and then would rally and win the game by like 10 or something like that. That is not how things went down tonight. Auburn was much better than Missouri, particularly in the second half. I think it was a 5-point game at halftime, and then Auburn just kind of went off in the second half, doing the things that I think, and you guys probably think, they should be doing all the time, which is paying a lot more attention to the quality of the shots they're taking and who is taking them. Janai really didn't have a lot of quality looks in the first half, 2 of 7 from the floor. Second half, much better situation. He finishes 7 of 14 with 17 points. We're talking about one of the, I said in the game wrap, it's on the front of auburnsports.com, this is the most dominant individual season we've ever seen for Auburn basketball with Janai Broome. He is, if you believe in the Ken Palm metrics, and I do, he's the second most valuable player in college basketball behind Zach Edey, who is a freak of nature. Feed the guy. Get him the ball. And when you do, good things are going to happen. It's that simple. Before we get going and looking at our stats tonight, I want to give some shouts to our early super chatters here. Feel like a stranger who's always with us. This is LFG, Word I'm Eagle, Word Up. Much love, Drainers, Swoogans, and Tates, especially my mom, Carol Tate. Great second half, fired up to Drain. Glad to have you here again, sir. My daughter went to see my mom today and said she was doing incredibly well, which is awesome to hear. She's been doing really, really well, and I appreciate you guys thinking about her and prayers for her as well. T-Tiger, glad to have you here. I mentioned that in the chat, but I will say it myself. Also, Ravin, one of our channel legends, says, keep winning in March and everything will be just right. Great job by the team to crush the second half after that start. Have a great show. War Damn Eagle. Ravin, I appreciate you, bro. You're talking like you may not be here the whole duration. But if you are, I'm happy. If you're not, I'm happy. It's good either way. Cassidy P jumps in and says, good evening, Swoogans. It's tomorrow already. Cassidy P, one of our Eastern time zone legends. Just always glad to have him around, no matter what time zone he's in, whether he's in Hawaii or wherever he may be. He also has a second one coming in. Feed, post, defend, switch, and board, rinse, repeat. It really is that simple with Jalen and Janai. You've got two of the most dominating post presences. Yeah, that's a word. Presences in the country, and you've just got to get them working together, and they work well together. You just got to feed them the ball. And Auburn did that tonight for sure. Auburn Addict said, Broome is having a great year. Where does he go in the draft? That's a great question. I would have thought a few months ago he just straight up doesn't go in the draft. Now I think he might be like a second rounder. I just think he lacks the requisite athleticism that they're going to want. He's a very skilled basketball player. He's a tough individual, and he has definitely added the three-point shot to his arsenal as one of the best shooting, long range anyway, shooting big men in the country. I think he's going to get a shot. I don't know about draft, though. Alpha Tiger says, can you speak up a little when I flush? Trying to listen while dropping. Doc Dumpster, I do have my sounds here tonight. And, oh, whoa, no. That's not what we're going to do, bro. Get the sounds up. Come on, guys. Seriously, I know it's late, but you got to get on that. Please, guys. I'm relying on you to get it done. Much better. Okay, let's bounce over to our main page here. I did have an opportunity to get the schedule updated. So the Auburn Tigers are doing exactly what we had hoped they would do after the loss to Tennessee. They had 3 games left. We felt like they were all winnable. I said on the show I thought they had an 80% chance to win all 3. I now think that's probably a 95% chance because I think Auburn is going to do dirty things to Georgia in the home season finale or the regular season finale on Saturday. Mobile alum jumping in with a super chat. I was chatting with her yesterday, I think it was, about the shindig on the 13th of April we're going to have down in Orange Beach. How far you think can we go in the SEC in the big dance to add to the party? Bam Bams got freaking curb stomped. They really did. They had a difficult, some would say, performance at Florida today, lost by a lot of points. And that really kind of tightened the race at the top of the SEC, and things are getting a little more interesting. I think Auburn's going to get one of these top 4 seeds. I really do. I think South Carolina's got a challenge ahead. They could lose both of these games. They're going to be playing tomorrow night. And, was it today, Mobile alum? I'm getting confused about what day it is. I get a little bit off track, I guess, of what day it is. It was a long time ago. So Kentucky's still got to play tomorrow. South Carolina's still got to play tomorrow. But you had, Ole Miss, Georgia. Ole Miss lost at Georgia. But they had a buzzer hitting 3. It was kind of cool. They were down 6, so it didn't really matter, but it was a hell of a shot. And then, obviously, Bam Bam's got knocked around by the Todd Goldens down in Gainesville. So, some interesting things affecting Auburn at this point. I've got the standings. Let me go over to this other page where I can look at the standings, or I can post the standings a little bit more effectively. The place where I usually get the standings was messed up. It had Auburn tying the game tonight. I have no idea why. So I had to go to a different site, but I think these will work just fine. Those are the live standings as they are right now. With Auburn up there, Auburn and Alabama neck and neck with South Carolina, but South Carolina's still got some work to do. And then, of course, the Kentucky Wildcats has still got to tangle with Tennessee, at Tennessee. And there's a lot of skepticism about Kentucky's ability to win that game. But if Kentucky wins both, it's definitely going to put pressure on Auburn. You got 5 teams here, really 6 teams that can sneak in there. I don't think Auburn's going to have to worry about Florida as far as the top 4 seed, but I do think Auburn has to worry about Kentucky, Alabama, and South Carolina, and obviously Tennessee. So it's going to be a fun race here to the end. And I've said this before on the bunker, the last SEC team to go winless in conference play was Georgia Tech. So Missouri's one loss away from infamy. It's hard to be a lot worse than Vanderbilt, but they have succeeded. And LSU's been playing better basketball, too. Anyway, those are the standings as it stands right now. I did get a super chat coming in from Horace from 3. I really appreciate you guys being with me tonight. I know it's late. This was an 8 o'clock tip in the Central Time Zone. We just kicked off the show at essentially 11 o'clock Central, midnight in the Eastern Time Zone, so I appreciate you guys hanging. Really, a super chat from Horace from 3, who we love. Great game wrap-up. Great game write-up, Commodore. Thank you. Thank you for reading that. We are watching one of the best seasons in our history from Janai, War Damn March. Here's to a deep run. Horace, I know you're loving this, brother. Janai is just having such an amazing season. And again, if you believe in KenPom statistics, and I do, KenPom.com has Janai as the second most MVP-worthy player in the entire country behind Zach Edey, who is a freak of nature at Purdue. This is the best season ever individually for an Auburn Tiger. And I mean, it honestly rivals like what Cam did in 2010. I mean, he's really, really good, and he's carrying this team. The team's got a lot of good players, but he is such an amazing player. Mobile Alum says rumors are swirling about BP may have interest in the Indiana job if it opens. If I know BP at all, if Indiana comes calling, he will listen. He would be an idiot not to. Auburn pays him a lot of money. Auburn gives him a lot of latitude to do whatever he wants, really. He is the face of the university, in my opinion, much more so than Hugh and more so than the president, in my opinion. So I think it would behoove Auburn to do everything possible to keep him here. And I think that isn't necessarily a monetary thing. I think it's more of a go along with the idea of Stephen being the heir apparent. And if that's written in blood, if that's written on paper, if that is promised in some way that is to BP's satisfaction, I think that story ends. I think the Indiana dalliance, such as it would be or could be, just goes out the window right there. So, I personally don't think this will be a thing, but it could, and it's something to keep an eye on. And this is what happens when you have a coach that people like. He does have experience in the state of Indiana. He coached at Southern Indiana, and I know from personal experience, having bought a car up in Indianapolis a few years ago, those people still remember him Fondly. They all did. I was shocked, honestly. Ravin says, I don't see BP leaving for another job. He's totally invested in Auburn, or at least it appears that way. I would agree. I don't think it's fake. I just think he wants assurances that Steven, I think he wants assurances that Steven succeeds him. And if Cohen or Auburn, or however you want to look at it, if they're good with that, I think that's a dead issue. That's just my opinion. Alpha Tiger, you need to get the SEC network to give you a correction and give you full credit. They probably need to put you on payroll, if true. But I think I feel like you're right. That team had Darius Garland, and they were still dog shit, as I recall. I don't remember. Zeth, what's up, brother? Says Oates to Indiana confirmed. I love it. I think Oates is going to end up, either him or Beard will end up at Louisville, which is a really good job if you get your head out of your ass, and they really need that. Pocket asks a fine question. Why would Auburn hire Steven to succeed him? Because that's what BP wants. That's the short answer. Cassie DP with another super chat says, I like how Bruce is staggering the lineup to find the best second group. Who knew Semo could flourish, KD could dish, and Dylan could return to January form? Some really good stuff going on today, Cassie DP, that you mentioned there. Really like the way Dylan played. I put something in my post-game wrap about KD, who did not have a great statistical game. 3 points, I think, and he fouled out too, but he brought energy, which is something he does. But I was marveling at this the other day. When he first got here, he was such an emotional player and let it get away from him. And KD is so good now at being emotional and then keeping it within the parameters, not getting out of his own head. And I thought he was huge tonight, particularly late in the first half when Auburn was getting a little stagnant. He had that huge drive to the bucket that he converted. The next one, he completely got Mizzou off kilter again. Ball got stuffed, but it got deflected to Janai, who put the ball in. So that's really 5 points right there where KD's pace and I called it valor in the piece. He just attacks, and I think it takes people by surprise, even though they read the scouting reports and know what he does. So he can be really big at times. I love that he has learned how to take that emotionality, I made up the word, and have it be a positive so often. At BP, I asked him about that yesterday at the press conference. Why is he so good with emotional players? You think back to Casey Ross Miller, Kareem Canny, TJ Dunnins, Simeon, guys like that who are emotional. He always found a way to kind of get them focused more. And Chad Baker-Mazara now, KD's a good example. Even Bryce Brown, who was a little bit of a different challenge, but he's also an emotional player. BP finally got around to him. It took a few years. And BP thinks it's because he's that kind of person, that BP is himself emotional, which is true. And that's how he understands how to think along with these kids and explain to them how to be better. I had not thought about that. So it was really cool when he said that. Horace from 3 says, KD's career arc has been fantastic to watch. Lots of maturity growth. You're damn right about that. Probably one of my most satisfying as a reporter just to watch it happen. Pocket Watch says, not so sure Canty was a success. He was a good player when he was here. Disruptive at times for sure, and I don't think he was a finished product, but I think BP at that stage in the rebuild here had to take some risks that maybe he wouldn't now. But I would argue that Canty was a better person when he left here than he was when he got here, and I think he was a better player too. Let's see. D. Lucky says, would Golden leave Florida for Auburn? Trying to be objective, not sure about that. Yeah, I don't know. Is Florida, I think when Florida's cranking, it's a better job than Auburn, but it's kind of working on old and antiquated idea, right? Because Auburn is so new to being a good job. It's the arena's terrific, the support is terrific, but you think, is that all due to BP, or is that, if Todd Golden, who doesn't have BP's, P.T. Barnum thing, would that be a good mix or match? I don't know. Cassidy P says Bruce is a whisperer of mercurial players. They get him. That is absolutely true. And it's one of the things that I think we talked about this a little bit last week, but it's something that BP doesn't get enough credit for, and I try to change that myself. I try to be the one man explaining how good of a psychologist he is, or amateur psychologist, and he learned that from Dr. Tom Davis, who also was really good at that. I think it was just a good match. It was really good that BP came along at a time when Tom Davis was becoming that nationally recognized and outstanding coach, and he could just kind of slide in there and learn from him. This was at Boston College and also at Iowa. Mobile alum says Stephen Pearl needs to get head coaching experience on his own before BP retires. It certainly wasn't because Stephen didn't try. He worked very hard to get the Georgia State job a couple years ago, and I thought he would have been a really nice match for that. I will say one thing about Stephen, who just started coaching. He was elevated to an assistant coach position here maybe 6 years ago, something like that. And so prior to that, Stephen really wasn't even coaching per se. I mean, he has really taken off, I think, as an assistant coach, where he does a lot of work, a lot of valuable work now that he didn't even know how to do 5 or 6 years ago. So to me, he really is a star in the making as far as his coaching ability. I don't know if he's a great head coach because we don't have any data, but he has certainly improved a ton in his time as an assistant coach here, and he is now, someone you can totally rely upon to give you good scouting reports, to give you good instruction on the court. He just doesn't have, and I don't think he ever will have, Bruce Pearl's P.T. Barnum, Carnival Barker thing. That's just not Stephen. He is a confident person, and he is an intelligent person, but he doesn't have that hype up thing that BP has and that instant relatability that BP has. Not many people do, and it's no criticism on Stephen. But you don't have to have that to be a great basketball coach. I would argue that Mike Krzyzewski was an absolute turd of a human being, but he was a damn good coach. Not to say Stephen's a turd. I'm just saying you don't have to be super nice guy. Ravin says Cardwell from 3, it really is a thing. I heard it myself. We all did. Andy had that to say today. And I think, let's see, Dylan hit one maybe 5 games ago, so hit another one tonight. It's amazing. I think he's hit 2 of his last 3 attempts. That's pretty good. Yeah. Other things tonight. I want to put up this. Let me go back over to our main page here. We were showing standings earlier. I want to look at this second half box. So the first half to me was kind of murky, okay-ish. They played okay. They fouled way too often. And although we can fuss about how many of those fouls are legit, Sean East, who number 55 from Missouri, is so good at, like, he's a right-handed shooter, so he'll take that left arm and he'll kind of flipper you. You know what I mean? Like T.J. Jackson used to do and Stump used to do. He doesn't extend his arm fully. He just kind of punches at you, and then he pulls it back. He did this to KD at one point there, early second half, and literally knocked KD backward like 2 feet to clear out for a shot, and they called a foul on KD for receiving a blow to his chest. I was baffled by that one. But the guy's really smart about not extending his arm. He just kind of punches you with a short pop. It's an interesting trick, and it's one that I feel like the SEC officials should be better at adjudicating correctly, but they didn't tonight. Credit to the kid. Again, this box score right here is just for the second half. So Auburn's up 5 at halftime. BP said post-game, everybody was acting like they had the green light, not passing the ball enough, not looking for teammates enough. I completely agree with that assessment, and I was frustrated watching it because I'm like, you've got the second best player in college basketball sitting here, and you're not even feeding him. Second half, they absolutely got everything in gear, started feeding him, started feeding Jalen, and those 2 guys just went to work, and everything else just fell into place. Ravin says he's about to bounce. Got to go, fam. Great seeing the dedication to the drain. Work comes early. I'll be listening to the replay. Have a good one. Ravin, appreciate you, brother, and thanks for your super chat and also your friendship, my G. So, yeah, look at this box score for the second half. I mean, you're plus 22 on the scoreboard, but it's even more graphic than that. I mean, 76% shooting from the floor. So let's do some calculations on this because your boy's not very good at math. Okay, so they're 19 shots minus the 6 threes. So that's 13. And then 25 minus 9. I should be able to do that in my head, but I can't. So they go 13 of 16 from 2 in the second half. That is 81%. That's absurd. Absolutely absurd. And then 81% from the line. That is unbelievable efficiency, and I don't think you can have a better second half than that offensively. It was smart basketball. And the interesting thing is you look at the point guards, and they don't really have the big numbers you're looking for. Trey with 9 points in the second half, not bad. Aiden, 5 points in the second half, not bad. But together, they're 4 of 6 from the floor. They have 5 assists, 0 turnovers. That'll work. That's all you need. You don't need Aiden to be a star. You don't need Trey to be a star. You've got stars. You've got Chad, who's really, really blossomed. Jalen and Janai. That's it. And that's why you hear BP talking a lot about taking care of the ball and distributing the ball and passing the ball. Because if the point guards do that, everything's going to be okay. How about that? A second half for Dylan. I didn't even realize that. 8 points in 10 minutes on 3 of 3 shooting. What a half. Unbelievable. Brad E. coming in. I was chatting with him during the second half there. He and D. Lucky. We have a little group chat going. Feed 44 from 3. He's shooting 40% this season. What is he? 2 of 5? Is that right? Good stuff, brother. And nobody knows stats better than Brad E. He's definitely a statistical master. Looks like Mobile alum's about to bounce, too. Appreciate you, young lady. Thank you for the super chat. And I look forward to seeing you and your partner down there in Orange Beach. But, yeah, I thought the big story tonight was just the second half and turning it on and playing really, really inspired basketball in the second half. Chaz, yeah, we talked about that. I mean, to me, it's kind of it's just the way things go, I guess. And he has that history in Indiana, and I think there's a couple things that he would like Auburn to do for him that don't really involve money. So I think if Auburn comes through on that, I think he stays. You know, I think he's turning 60, I don't know, 65-ish, something like that. This is a tough age, I would think, to start a rebuild. So if he wants to go to Indiana at 65 and do that, I mean, it's going to take a while. And there's no guarantee that it works. And then I don't know. I just feel like if he can get what he needs from Auburn, I think he stays. I don't even think it's really a question. But I haven't spoken to BP about that specifically, and I would not sure how to broach that subject. Hey, man, somebody on the internet says you might go to Indiana. How do you feel about that? I mean, doesn't really come up that much. Cassidy P, you can see in the chat there, says Aiden seems to be settling in more with the offense. I agree completely. He had a terrible game against Kentucky. He was really, really down. There was a full week between the UK game and then the game at Georgia when he played great, and Auburn has played great really since then. And yeah, he's coming along. I think they're trying to tell him, like, you don't feel like you have to keep jacking up shots. Like, just do your thing. I think in the Georgia game, his primary concern in the first half was just getting the offense started and trying to deal with the pressure that people love to put in his face, you know. Second half, they got him off the ball a little bit more. This is at the Georgia game. This is probably, 5 games ago. A little bit off the ball more, and then he was just stroking. He's been more confident. He's playing like a more confident player right now. That's a big plus. Chip says, I'm not sure Indiana is a better job than Auburn currently. It's crazy that somebody would say that, and I also think you're correct. I mean, Indiana, for a long, long time, I would consider a major blue blood program, but at this point, they just completely lost all the inertia and momentum they had. And they're just kind of a rando team right now, honestly. I mean, Purdue is their daddy in that state right now, no doubt about it. And Illinois is their daddy too. But at the same time, just give BP what he wants and move on. We've played this game before, particularly with David Marsh. Just do what he wants. Might as well. I mean, he's brought Auburn to where it is. And if it's untenable, and if you can't keep him here, then you just do the best you can. The good news is that Auburn is a much better program than it was and can probably attract a very good coach if it came to that. AU256 is dibs on his lake house if he leaves. Man, you better be ready for a big payment on that bad boy. Anywho. The big story. Let me go back to our main page here. The big story tonight was, again, just a great second half. And the team getting a lot more cognizant of what it needs to do to be strong and efficient on the offensive end. I know that Missouri's not a good basketball team, but they're good at free throw shooting. I thought in the first half, Auburn was just being kind of ignorant and fouling them too much and letting them stay in the game because they could shoot free throws so well. I think they shot 89% for the game. 31 of 35 is what Missouri was from the free throw line. So don't foul them and don't let them shoot free throws, and you win. That's what they did in the second half. They definitely cut down on the fouling. Gave up a few buckets, but didn't foul. Horace from 3 also makes a good point about the practice facility, at least, because there hadn't been much progress on that project here in the last year or so. A lot of that's because of NIL becoming a new expense, if you want to look at it that way. But I think there is money. You could raise money. You can direct some money toward that, and I think that would be to both BP and the program's benefit. Cassidy P says, any chance some guys, Katie or Dylan, run it back next year and don't go through senior night against Georgia? It's possible, yeah. I think they would go through senior night regardless, just in case, but they may end up choosing to stay, and I think they're really good depth guys. Both of them are. Really good stories. I think BP would really push for both of those guys to stay if they could, if they would, and he'd find a way. Kanuman says he is in a bar in Scottsdale. This guy is a world traveler, no doubt. That sounds like a damn fine time. I've been to 2 bars in Scottsdale and had a great time both times. He can't hear. However, he wants us to like the video. I'm just kidding. He can't hear me anyway. So what else we got here? Auburn playing some good ball right now. Auburn is in a good situation to pull one of these top 4 seeds and get the double bye, although I think it's a little bit of a misnomer. I mean, they're not going to play on Wednesday anyway, so really you're just skipping Thursday. AU256 says KD can really come back. I got to take a look at this. I think Dylan can, though. I think we've looked this up before. I always get logged out of Ken Palm. It's Henry doing that, I bet. Let's see where KD's at. So KD has played 4 full seasons, right? I don't know. I don't know how that stuff works. Every time I think I have it understood, there's something else. And Dylan has played the exact same years that KD has, so. Yeah, Kanuman's saying COVID year, but his freshman year is 21. So, to me, it seems straightforward, or I've thought this all along, that if you start as a freshman in 21, you don't get a COVID year, but it seems like it seems like it ends up being that they can come back, so I don't know. Yeah, SEMO as well. I don't know about SEMO, man. Jalen, Horace says Jalen's the only one that can't. So, yeah, Jalen started a little bit earlier, didn't he? He started in 2020. He's played 5 full seasons now. 136 games he suited up for the Auburn Tigers. How about that? I feel like a stranger says 2021 season was COVID year. That's why I get confused. Because in football, it's different. It shows the 20 season, and then the same academic year shows as a 21 season for basketball. That's probably it, yeah. They're going to have to definitely get active on the portal. I was already trying to taking a look at some guys that would. I think one of the things Auburn does is they look at guys who are from this general area. Let's say Alabama, Georgia, Florida Panhandle, maybe Mississippi, who are playing elsewhere, and try to keep an eye on them. That if they pop in the portal, you go and you snatch them. So I was starting to look at that today, but no, Knuman, he's played 4 full seasons of college ball, 3 of them at Auburn and 1 at Georgia. So he would have been in the 21 season. He would have been at Georgia. So if that's the way it is, the 2021 season, he was at University of Georgia. Yeah. The 2021 season when he was a freshman at Georgia, correct. Let's see. Cassidy Pieces will need a 4 and a 5 from the portal in a big, big way. Maybe another mid-major. Yeah, for sure. I think we'll just kind of have to see how it goes. Chip says Henry needs to deliver some research and rock-solid info on who is eligible to return next season. Honorary. He's honorary the 8th I am. All right. Yeah, that's what we're looking at. It is getting late in the night, though, so I understand why we're all confused a little bit. Let's see. Okay. So the 4-year players do have a COVID year left. The 5-year players, a.k.a. Jalen, does not. And AU 256 is Jesus no Simo. I mean, I think Simo's a good 10th or 11th guy. He made some nice plays today. He made a great spinning. He got that offensive rebound, spun once, laid the ball in. It was an amazing play. It was one of the probably 20 best plays of the season, like individual plays. But his three-point shot is just so funky. He doesn't give you that, and he's just such a weird player. I mean, he's like a wing, which is it's just a position where you're wanting someone, like Chad. It's like long and fast and acrobatic and can shoot the three, and then like Simo's none of that, but he is a good glue guy. He doesn't whine about his role. He doesn't mind being a 9th guy or 10th guy as he is right now. I mean, there's value to that. Horace thinks need a dominant 5 from portal, and who wouldn't want to play for BP after Walker and Chennai? So I got Auburn had AJ in the other day. AJ, I'm not even going to try that last name. If Solo Tigre is here, he would absolutely ream me for this, but I can't say the kid's last name, but it's AJ DeBansta? AJD? Yeah, let's call him AJD. Number 1 player in the class for next year. He's a wing. He's 6'8" wing. He ended up talking to Jabari. So he came to Auburn last weekend, almost kind of on a flyer, like he was looking at some other programs, and he was like, okay, Auburn's been on me. I'm going to go talk to him. So he shows up here, and it's a lot better than he expected. He got along with the players better. He liked the coaches better. He liked the stadium better. He liked the support here better. He liked the campus better. I think Auburn all of a sudden is a player here. And I don't think the kid is dying to play at what I would call an old school blue blood. I don't think he wants to be another name in the line of great players. I think he wants to be like the greatest player at a particular program, which he might be here. He'd have a shot anyway. So he ends up calling Jabari, and they have a conversation. And I just found that very interesting, that he would go to the length to find Jabari, to get up with Jabari and ask him questions about Auburn because he cared, because he was that intrigued. Now, as we know, VP and his staff are not necessarily the best at pulling high school top 5 guys. They did get Jabari, and he's a stud. But, this situation with Floyd Badunga was kind of a kick in the balls last year, who ended up picking Kansas, the kid that they've been working on for years out of Indiana. Well, AU 256 makes a point, need to get a swoosh on our jersey if we want him IMO. That may happen. I would put money on that probably happening. But anyway, if they were to get AJD, that would be something else. Wow. He's really something else. So, yeah. I just wonder a little bit about the high school kids. Auburn seems to have better hits on the portal than they do high school, just as far as getting them here. It seems like the guys they do get here are good. Isaac, Choom, Jabari, Sharif. But AJD would be the biggest of all of them. Yeah. I just found it interesting that Jabari ends up being, Jabari, as we know, is very, very pro-Auburn. Has a lot of nice things to say about Auburn. Really enjoyed his experience here, and his affinity for this coaching staff, along with Walker as well, is unmistakable. But that's not something that Auburn facilitated. That's something that he went out and did because he wanted to talk to Jabari about it. I mean, that's just cool. That's really cool, actually. Anywho. What else we got to talk about tonight? Pretty damn good performance. I feel like a stranger says, breaking brain drain news, JGT guarantees Nike. I'm just saying if I put my money on it, someone said, hey, JG, what do you think's going to happen? I think Auburn's going to go to Nike. But the only other option is they stay with Under Armour. I just think that if it goes this long, right, I just think it's got to go Nike because if it was really going to be at UA again, they would have done it. Cassidy P says, I'm out, fam. Got to be up in 5 hours. Be where your feet are, y'all. Cassidy P, I appreciate you, bro, and I appreciate all the stuff you've been doing off the board, off the air, so to speak, to get us ready for the event in Atlanta. Looking forward to that. Chip points out Jabari discovered a player of his stature can come to Auburn and thrive without being in the pressure cooker of UK Duke and North Carolina, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, I think AJD has that as a goal. I don't think he wants to go to UK, Duke, North Carolina, Kansas. I think he wants to go somewhere else and be really important. E256, quick thoughts on spring ball, JGT. They're not even in pads yet, but there's a big step up in terms of skill position excellence at wideout. There's no doubt about that. That's about all I can give you at this point. I think they're going to start working for real when they get back from spring break. CDF jumping in from the West Coast, some would say, even way out further than the West Coast, the furthest West Coast of the American Empire. Says, this is late for Hawaii time. JGT the legend. CDF, I appreciate you, bro. He is from Lower Alabama, but he's living in Hawaii at this point, and we love CDF. Appreciate you. Hope to see you in the war zone at some point. I haven't played with you probably a minute. By the way, I am having a little bit of sip of bourbon. Why not? Drinking this old Ezra 7. Just happened to be up here. I like this stuff. It's good. Paid $24.59 for this at the Grub Mart 2 years ago. This bottle now goes for $70 or so. I don't think it's worth $70, but it's pretty good. D Lucky says he just went from 6 to midnight with the Nike lean. Do we have a sound for that?
The danger zone. This is your redheads, your strippers, anyone named Tiffany. This is where your car gets keyed, you get a bunny in the pot, your tires get slashed, and you wind up in jail.
The danger zone. Hey, we got a super chat came through from Patrick D, who is in the Eastern time zone, I believe. So we appreciate him being up with us. We're just going to give him a clap for that. CDF and Patrick D coming in here late. I appreciate you guys. Of course, Patrick D, better known on the board as Why Not AU and our number one channel legend. I appreciate you, G. Says zebras suck. They were not. I didn't understand why they didn't see what East was doing tonight. Sean East, number 55, getting that little half arm shake. Pushing people back. They actually called a foul on KD for getting punched in the chest. I was just like, what? But I guess if you don't extend your arm past 90 degrees, Patrick, they don't call that, but you're still getting that little jab in. Hey, man, he's from New Albany, Indiana, a place that I know well. Good place for basketball, and I mean, he just learned on the hard streets of New Albany how to do that. Feel Like a Stranger says under review with only 1.5 cameras. Patrick D says it was horrendous. Yeah, I thought some of the things that he was doing. Again, I credit the kid because if they don't call it, fuck it. You're just doing the right thing. But I was surprised that he was able to get away with that all night. They didn't call it once. Not one single offensive foul against. Do you remember against Missouri? I kept thinking they would call a charge or a player control foul on that, and they never did. I did want to get back on what? Just wanted to look up something here real quick that Alpha had mentioned earlier about Vanderbilt. The year that they sucked really, really bad. Yeah, that's really interesting because they did lose every game that year. Yeah, they did. They absolutely lost every game that year. I got that stat straight off the SEC network, and they've showed it twice. But they lost every single game that year. I don't know. That's embarrassing. Good God. I don't even remember this team. They did have Darius Garland, but he got hurt. All right, so there you go. I guess it's happened once since Georgia Tech. Looks like Ken Palm has updated their numbers, and Auburn's moved from 6 to 5. Of course, Auburn's been in the top 6 for like the last 3 months. The computers love Auburn. They love Auburn because they have a good statistical profile offensively and defensively, although at this point, this might surprise you, but their defensive numbers are a little bit better than their offensive numbers. They're still top 15 in both. Chip says, I would assume that if Missouri's coach is getting fired, I bet you they give him another year. I really do. I don't think they're ready to cut bait on him just yet. Although I understand you and I looking at this from the outside, you would think, dude, got to go. But they might give him another year to kind of put it together. I think they took over a complicated situation there. And one of my favorite coaches that I've ever covered at Auburn, a guy named Charlton Young, CY, is an assistant there. He's Dennis's top assistant, so I'm pulling for them. He's awesome. Patrick D says, are we a 5-seed SEC tournament and 5-seed NCAT? I personally, Patrick D, I think Auburn's going to climb into the top 4 in the SEC tournament. A win against Georgia, it puts a lot of pressure on Kentucky. They've got to play Tennessee at Tennessee, and I just don't see that happening. It's possible. They've been playing better basketball, but winning at Tennessee is a real challenge right now. And South Carolina's got troubles of their own. They've still got to play, I think, let me take a look at this just so I make sure I get this right. I think they're playing at Mississippi State in the finale, and then they've got Tennessee at home. Okay, so I misspoke a little bit. Kentucky does have to play at Tennessee, but that's in the season finale of the weekend. Tennessee is at South Carolina tomorrow, which is obviously going to be a tough game, and someone's going to walk away sad in that one. And then Tennessee's got to play host to Kentucky, so they've got their hands full. South Carolina's got their hands full with playing Tennessee at home and then at Mississippi State. Mississippi State is a difficult team to play there. And then Kentucky, they're going to have to, like I said, finish out. They've got Vanderbilt at home tomorrow, so that's going to go. But then at Tennessee is going to be a struggle. Auburn's got, with this win at Missouri, plus this game against Georgia, Auburn's got the tastiest situation from a schedule perspective. And I think Auburn's got like a 95% chance of winning this game at Georgia. Let me see what Ken Palm says that winning percentage is. They've got it at 93% win percentage, so that's about the same. G. Curry says, who is our next Janai, a guy that Auburn played and picked up in the portal later on? Yeah, that person is somewhere else right now. The next Janai Broom is playing somewhere else, whether he's at Western Carolina or Western Michigan or Washington State or who knows. I don't even know. And I'm just pulling those names out. That's a good question, and I know it's something that you would like to know the answer to, and I think BP would like to know the answer to. But, yeah. Going to have to go out and find that person. So, Patrick D, I think Auburn sneaks in to like a 3 seed in the SEC tournament, and I think they end up as a 4 seed in the NCAAs is kind of my gut feeling. I feel like 5's too low for this team. Even though I think the NCAA tends to give Bruce a hard time and tends to give him more difficult matchups. I mean, the shit they went through in the 19 tournament was just like laughable. I mean, the New Mexico State game was what it was, but then, you get matched up with, what was it, Kansas, North Carolina, and then Kentucky all in a row. I mean, come on, bro. Nobody has to do that. And he still beat them. Horace thinks 3 seed in the tournament and 4 in the tourney. Yeah, that's what I would say, yeah. I'm gauging that just kind of where I think Auburn is, not necessarily the logistics of, okay, you got to win this game or lose this game. They got to win this one or lose this one. I mean, again, this game tomorrow, Tennessee at South Carolina, somebody's walking away sad. And if it's South Carolina, they're going to fall behind Auburn. And then Auburn would automatically move up. And then they still have to play at Mississippi State. So I mean, they got issues. They got issues. AU 256 says those 4 or 5 matchups in the NCAA tournament are rough. Yeah, they always are. The NCAA tournament is that's why it's the best and funnest, at least as it stands right now. I think the expanded football playoffs are going to be really fun, too, in a way that we haven't seen before. But the NCAA tournament is so much fun because of the matchups and the things that, because Auburn's got some weaknesses. Auburn does not like to be heavily pressured at the point guard position. Some teams can do that and some teams can't. You've got to have depth to do that, and you've also got to have technically gifted ball defenders, which some teams have and some teams don't. And then Auburn's does not like physical teams in general, although they played better against physical teams here lately. I thought the home win against Mississippi State, who's an insanely physical team, worked out pretty well. And I thought the Tennessee game, they're very physical. Auburn lost the game, but Auburn I thought, played pretty well in that game. So, and when you play at Tennessee, it's always tough. But I do think Auburn's made a lot of progress to that end. Feel like a stranger says, breaking brain drain. I'm going to get to you, Patrick D. Breaking brain drain news, JGT guarantees Nike and reports Auburn getting transfers from Western University, a.k.a. Blue Chips. The Dolphins, yes. Coached by, Neon Bodo would be a good addition. He'd be a nice replacement for Janai, I think. Patrick D says, what does this roster look like next year? I think it's going to change a lot. Janai's going to be gone. Jalen's going to be gone, which is obviously huge. I do think Aiden sticks around. A lot of people in the bunker think he'll leave, and I don't see that. And I think Trey stays too, so that's good. It's good to have that foundation at the point guard spot. I think Tahad comes in and plays like this. He's like a much better KD, kind of a combo guard, driver, acrobatic finisher, energy guy. Jakai comes in. He's like a backup wing, but he's really long. Would probably take a lot of the minutes that Simo would be doing, but he'd give you a lot more, especially on the attacking end. And then you got to get major reinforcements at 4 and 5 through the portal, without a doubt. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's what you'd be looking at there. They got a lot of portal work to do, and I think they'll be good at it. I mean, Steven's been getting better at it. He's the main portal guy. And then you got Burgo and Ian Borders, and those guys are always doing the statistical models behind the scenes to try to figure out, before the guys even go in the portal, who would be a good fit, so they know right away who to approach. I think when a guy goes in the portal, Auburn wants to be on the horn with that guy within 2 hours, if not earlier. And to make that happen, you've got to do work now to really get ahead of it and know which guys make sense and which guys don't. I know Denver was a good example last year of a kid that they had already identified before he went in the portal. Like, if this guy pops, we're going to get on the horn with him. And Auburn was on the horn with him in 15 minutes. Now, he was an obvious one because he was from the state of Alabama. And his parents, or his folks, his family, leaned Auburn in this Auburn-Alabama debate. So that was an easy one, but you know what I mean. Man, it's been a minute since I've thought about Blue Chips. I was really fired up for that movie, though. I had to go back and look it up the other day, or a couple weeks ago, about who it was. I know it was Shaq and Penny, and then who was the white dude, but it was the guy from Indiana, whose name I've already forgotten, but he's a left-handed guy from Indiana. Brian something or other, maybe? For some reason in my head, I thought it was Chris Mullen, but Chris Mullen was like an old man at that point. It definitely wasn't Chris Mullen. It was that, like, stern-looking dude from Indiana. Jump shooter 4 type guy. There's no doubt. What else we have to discuss here about this game tonight? Again, Auburn played pretty good in the first half. Fouled a little too much. Second half was just electric. Certainly one of their best halves they've played this year. And I thought it was because the passing was better. They were moving without the ball better. They were emphasizing the things that they needed to do well. They got the ball to Janai. They got the ball to Jalen. And they passed assuredly and with pace and with tempo. And they were just, man, when they did that, their offense just flummoxed Missouri. I feel like a stranger. Hey, man, no spoilers. Says his dad got a tractor. All right, looks like Horace from 3 is going to peace out on us. Appreciate you, brother, for being here and supporting the show. Looking forward to the next few weeks. It's going to be fun. I think we've done a show every game, right? I think we've done a show every game since I don't remember the last one we skipped. I feel like there was a late night game at some point. Normally I would have skipped a late night game tonight, but hey, man. It's March, Mel. We playing into the madness, yo. And I do have my wind chain on. My Auburn Tigers wind chain. This is made of tungsten, like orange tungsten. Yeah, it's very expensive, guys. This is probably worth $40,000 or $50,000 easy. Just each little link. I might take a link out and put it toward NIL. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Just whatever I feel like. Well, guys, what else we got? Anything else? Going once, going twice. By the way, we didn't do a podcast today because of this game. And I can't do one tomorrow for personal reasons, I guess. Got to go see a man. So we're going to try to tape on Thursday. Just for the folks who are, completionists and want to know when the next podcast is coming out. And, of course, we'll do our bourbon show on Thursday nights as well with whatever ideas Courtney comes up with for her show. All right, I guess we'll wrap it up then. Call Me Biscuit says, I picture an intern sitting in the AD just refreshing the portal over and over. That isn't too far from the actual truth. They have a GA who just sits at the terminal, and it updates on its own. And, it just pops, and they communicate, hey, this kid's in, whatever. I feel like a stranger says, Orange Tungsten, an underrated British prime minister. Yes, absolutely. Chip says, just got to make 1 a.m. Eastern time zone, which I think I just hit because I've got 12 o'clock on mine here in the Central time zone. Yes, on my Glennis, appreciate you being here, brother. And I will see you hopefully again on the weekend. This Georgia game is going to be a 5:30 tip, so we'll probably go live around, 8 o'clock on a Saturday. Everybody's chilling on the weekend, so we'll just do our thing and bring it like we usually do around 8 o'clock then. So, yeah, we'll wrap it up then. I do want to remind you guys, we are going to have a Bunker Bourbon event in Atlanta, or an Atlanta suburb, I should say, northern Atlanta suburb, on the 4th of April. That's a Thursday at a place called Local 3, which most of the people in the Bunker who are aware of that place think it's pretty awesome. So we're going to be doing burgers. They do, like, gourmet burgers there, and bourbon. And we're going to charge, I think it's $50-ish. And I know it sounds like a lot of money, but you do get 3 pours, bourbons of my choice, which I don't want to say what they are yet because we haven't confirmed it, but they're good. And then get a nice burger, a full burger. And then we're doing the Orange Beach Showdown on the 13th of April down in Orange Beach, obviously, and the details on that are atop the Bunker. It is at Chip Chip's compound. We did it last spring, I should say, and it was outstanding. So if you guys really want to hang out with Bunks and have a good time, that is the place to go because he's going to be cooking and we're going to be drinking and we're going to be singing because we're going to have a band there and just generally just being Bunks. All right, guys, so we'll wrap it up there. Again, we got the podcast Thursday, we got the Bourbon Blend Thursday night, and then we're going to be doing our show, The Brain Drain, Saturday night, probably around 8 o'clock. So that's when I will see you guys again. Of course, I'll always be on auburnsports.com on the Bunker doing our thing for that. Calling Biscuit says, when do you send in invoices for Atlanta event? Still working with Snortney on that one, administrative assistant, waiting on her to give me the okay, and then we'll start doing that because I think we've only got room for 20, and I'm going to be there. She's going to be there. Cassidy P and Mrs. Cassidy P are there because they help situate it. So there's 4. So we're running out of room pretty quick, or we will right when we start. So we'll do the best we can on that one. And as soon as she gives me the okay, we'll start doing it. Until then, guys, keep your feet on the ground. Keep reaching for the stars. Let's make great decisions out there. I will see you guys probably on Thursday, but whatever. Appreciate y'all being here on a late night show. Auburn Tigers victorious again over the Missouri Tigers, adding a lot of intrigue to these last 2, well, for Auburn, 1 game left, but these last 2 game windows to see who can get the bye in Nashville. Until I see you guys again, keep your feet on the ground. Love you guys. Peace out.